Hello, Body Max support group members. It is noon and I am live. If you don't pop on, it's all good. No worries. If you do and you have questions sort of along the way throughout this, that's cool. Comment them and then I might address them in the video or I might address them after. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot of stuff to go through, but I'm going to do my absolute best to make it simpler for you, to break things down a little bit slower so that we can gain a deeper understanding of our bodies, of our body types, of our energy types, and how we can move on from there. So first off, have you ever wondered why this girl can seem to eat whatever the heck she wants and she stays tall, she stays thinner, right? Or have you ever wondered why you, yourself, tend to build muscle really easy and maybe you don't want muscle? I don't know. Or have you ever wondered why it seems like you even look at a cookie and you gain weight, right? Or you gain mass. So you may have had these sorts of questions, and that's okay. We constantly tend to be in this state where we're wanting what we don't essentially feel that we have. We look at someone's hair, oh, I wish I had curly hair like she had, or I wish I had what she had, or I wish, right? And then we forget that what we have and what we are and the bodies that we're in and the vehicles that we are in are awesome, but we're not quite sure how to embrace it, and we might not quite be aware of it, and that's okay. So back in the 40s, you can research this if you like, because there's all kinds of stuff on it. There was said to be 3 specific body types, which they've learned, and they kind of attached, what sort of goes with this body type. I'm going to tie that into Ayurveda, so my study, the science of life, and tie that into those body types, but there's also energy types. There's also the personality type that goes with those, that tend to go with those. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that as well. But first off, I'm going to talk about the 3 body types. Behind me, I don't know how well you can see it, and I said my drawings are going to be the best drawings you've ever seen in your life, and it was obviously totally joking. So if we look at this first one over here, this one here tends to be shorter limbs, a little bit heavier set, bulkier, tends to hold a little more mass, and this is what they've called an endomorph. So the endomorph tends to be shorter, stockier people, let's say. With that, with Ayurveda, that is the Kapha type, the Kapha personality type, the Kapha characteristics, Kapha. Kaphas tend to hold more mass and more water, because their energy type is water and earth. And if you think about earth and you think about water, they're more dense, right? They're heavier. They hold more matter, okay? So that's why you might be that type of person that while I look at a cookie and I gain mass, because that is your innate nature. Your innate nature is to hold on to more mass, okay? So those types of people would have a tendency to, like I said, hold more mass, but they also have a tendency towards different mental characteristics of depression, of deep sorrow, of feeling stuck, okay? Those body types, those energy types are slower, so they're very, very hard to change. It doesn't mean that they cannot change, because they certainly can. They can certainly change, and they can certainly create more balance in their life. But you will still always have that body type and still tend to be the type that is a little more stocky and hold a little more matter. And guess what? That's okay. That's awesome. Majority of women, if you look back in all the times, majority of women were this or are this type because we are motherly, because we are of the earth, because we are of the water, and water and earth is cleansing, is nurturing. So we bring life into the world on this physical plane. So that's why we maybe attach more or are more earth and water, because earth and water is life. It comes up from the earth and from water. Okay, so that is the first type that I'm going to talk about. Endomorph, Kappa. The second type is the type of person or the body type which is called mesomorph. The mesomorph are the body types that tend to build muscle easier. So they have more muscle than fat. So you would see a lot of bodybuilders, majority of bodybuilders who can really build well are mesomorphs. But they also have a balanced structure to them. They don't gain weight too easy. I mean, they do, but not too easy. And they don't lose weight too easy. So they tend to have like a nice range in their body, majority, okay? That relates in Ayurveda to the Pitta. The Pitta has excess fire. Excess fire meaning fire is transformation, fire is change, fire is heat, right? So because they have more of that heat, they build more of the muscle and they kind of let go of the rest, right? They don't need as much earth, they don't need as much mass, they might have more muscle mass. So they have a tendency to build more muscle, like I said, but also to be the doer. Do. Okay? They can be very competitive with themselves, with others. So you might see professional athletes, majority of them are likely in that mesomorph stage or type of person, type of characteristic, type of body. But they have a tendency, if you look at the mental states, they have a tendency towards anger, towards frustration, towards judgments. And all of those mental states, let's say, I know they run through the body, but I'm not going to go there, are very heating. When you think of anger, you think of fire. When you think of frustration, you think of fire. You think of movement, right? Does that make sense so far? Hopefully it's making sense so far, and it's not too crazy, okay? As we move on to the third body type, the third body type is over here, and hopefully this isn't going to fall while I do it, but as you can see my person up there, that is called the ectomorph. I know it's kind of wiping off a bit, but the ectomorph is those people that you see are longer, are more slender, right? Longer limbs, not a whole lot of muscle. They don't hold a whole lot of muscle. They don't hold a whole lot of fat. Higher metabolisms. So if you're someone who is an endomorph, we go back to here, and you're thinking, how do I build my metabolism? First of all, you have the slower metabolism because you're not this body type or you're not this energy type. But there is a way to spark your fire, to create more movement and more flow. And I'll go over that at a later date. So we move into the ectomorph. That is the vata in Ayurveda. And vata means that there's excess air. So if you think of excess air, air is all-encompassing, air is everywhere, which is why they're taller, they're closer, their bodies are drawing up towards the air. That's why they're more air. They don't need as much muscle, they don't need as much fat, let's say, okay? They have a tendency towards not being stable in their life. So you might think of that person as the gypsy, or she's a free bird, meaning she just kind of goes wherever the wind takes her. Okay, they have a harder time, tend to have a harder time to develop roots, to maybe create families or to create a stable job, things like that. Mentally, they have a tendency towards anxiety because anxiety is moving. Okay, so they have a tendency towards anxiety. They have a tendency towards not being able to create concrete focus. So they might have all sorts of projects on the go, but nothing ever amounts to anything or nothing ever comes back because they need to move through the fire and the mass to gain that, okay? And I believe that's all I'm saying there. For the Vatas, one more thing, they have a tendency towards digestive disorders, but digestive disorders that move more towards the bigger colon. Okay, so the large colon. So it might be like the diverticulitis, things like that, a little bit more bloating, they have a tendency in their lower digestive system to be kind of out of whack. Okay, cool. So that's all I'm going to say for now, because I think that might have been a lot. It might have been a little bit heavy. But as I had said that, you might already be thinking, okay, I know what body type I am. I'm able to look in the mirror and I'm able to tell what body type I am. And that's cool. That's awesome. Ayurvedically, through the Kapha, the Pitta, and the Vata, what this does is this just gives us a deeper representation of our characteristics, of our constitution, of what our nature is. Yeah? Yeah? You might be more Kapha, but you also might be a little bit of Pitta. So we'll get into that after. But what I'm doing in the comments is putting in a quiz. This is called a dosha quiz. The doshas meaning Kapha, endomorph, Pitta, mesomorph, and Vata, ectomorph. Okay? It's not going to say endomorph, mesomorph, but that's okay. We'll say Kapha, Pitta, Vata. That's it. What you have to do in this quiz is check mark which one applies to you mostly. In general, over your lifetime, which one applies to you. You're going to see, I think there's about 25, let's say, about 25 of them that you would go through. There's a characteristic for Kapha, for Pitta, for Vata. Just check one. Because it might kind of flow a little bit in there, and that's okay, but just check one to make it easier. Then once you're done with that, add up your numbers. At the bottom of your Kapha, add up all of your Kaphas. I had 10 check marks, let's say. At the bottom of your Pitta, I had 12 check marks. At the bottom of your Vata, I have 6 check marks. So what that does is that will help to give myself a greater understanding, and yourself a greater understanding of, okay, where can we go from here? Now what? Now that I know my body type, now that I know my constitution, my general characteristics, now what? Because like attracts like, okay? The earthier stuff, you might be attracted to more of the slower things. But what that does is that puts us deeper into sort of a deficient state. It doesn't allow us to be in the homeostasis. Homeostasis is essentially balance, right? So it would draw us down even more, making it harder for us to move into a new direction. You can do this through nutrition. You can do it through different physical everyday practices. But we're going to start off just by seeing what you are and then slowly kind of moving ourselves along. It will take time, and that's okay. You can embrace this or just leave it for now. Maybe for now it's like, meh, I'm good. Or maybe you'd like to take a little bit of a deeper dive into it. And if you do, I am here to help you. We are here to guide you along the way. Because this has been an awesome, awesome journey for myself, learning so much about my own characteristics, my own energies, my own body type, and learning to embrace all of that. Because you should be embracing you, because you are awesome. Whether you're Kapha, Pitta, Vata, a little bit of mix of everything, you're all awesome. What was I going to say? Post your comments, and you will see that quiz. Do the quiz. Let me know your numbers after if you like. Even do them in the comments. We'll see. Have an awesome day, guys. Hopefully this wasn't too much for you. Maybe you'll need to watch it again, and that's cool. It's all good. See you later.